All right, we're live. We're dispatching once again. Today is the 12th of August. Big news this week. Well, almost big news. We almost hit new all-time highs, but didn't quite get there. Jared promised us we'd smash through it, but he lied.
Well,
Thanks, Jared.
Like, if you think about Ethereum, even though we're still way off the all-time highs,
Have
like,
a microphone.
oh yeah,
We're off to absolute... we are professionals.
Yeah.
Well, Nick, actually, seeing as you wanted to talk but couldn't talk because you didn't have a microphone, let me jump right in there. Ethereum, which has been on an absolute tear since you started talking it up, is on a tear. So Bitcoin didn't quite hit all-time highs unless you've got some new information. But Ethereum has been on... all eyes have been on Ethereum because it's absolutely pumping, and maybe we'll actually hit new all-time highs there.
Well, I mean, again, we're much even further off Ethereum all-time highs at the moment, but it just feels like we're well beyond all-time highs. Everyone's been so upset about Ethereum for so long, and it just went on a massive tear recently over the last sort of week or so. And yeah, it feels like it's at all-time highs, and that's what it's all about, right?
The feels.
We're not here for the money, we're here for the tech, and we're here for the fun.
Yeah, we're here for
So,
yeah. Well, that is good news. Well, the people who are here for the money, the fund managers, 90% of them this week. So there was a survey potentially suggesting that they feel... this is done by the Bank of America. And the 90% of surveyed fund managers think the stocks are overvalued, which there has been some outflows in the ETFs. That's no good. But despite that, Bitcoin is still pumping really well, and is Ethereum. So the spot markets are still pretty healthy.
Yeah, I mean, there were outflows at the beginning of the week for the ETFs, but it's figured itself out, and there's been inflows, like net inflows across the board. So again, Ethereum leading the charge with 300 and something mil to Bitcoin's 200 and something mil, which is a turn up for the books again. But I mean, Ethereum is just in vogue at the moment. Everyone's talking about it. We'll get to it soon.
Cool,
but,
kids.
There's a lot of chat about Ethereum, a lot of activity there.
Okay, well that is good news. Alt season, after you said it was never going to happen, is kind of happening.
It's still not happening. No, it's not.
there's like some crazy number of like 20,000 new coins per day.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine alt season. It's going to be a selective alt season for some alts. And when we say alts, jump in there, Nick.
No, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of coins being created, but it doesn't mean anything really. Yeah, the coin creating things are kind of interesting. I had a look into it. There's like this platform called Zora, which creates coins when you if you opt in when you do a Farcaster post, which is Farcaster is like Twitter or YouTube or whatever. You make some curated post. You can create your own sort of creator token on Zora for a Farcaster post, which is just pumping the amount of tokens getting created.
Right.
It's just wild because people just literally tick a box and like, yeah, why not? Maybe I can make
it.
$50 off this thing. Yeah, good luck. But
yeah,
in terms of alt season, I mean, if you look at the charts, you look at Bitcoin dominance, yes, it's going down. But if you look at the altcoin dominance, in line with Bitcoin, it's pretty flat. And what gives? Well, it's Ethereum. Again, I'm going to come back to Ethereum once more.
Okay.
Ethereum's the thing that's starting to take market share. It's really popping on these charts. Unfortunately, alt season's not here yet. I mean, it's not dying, so that's good at least, I guess, for you old guys out there. But it's not. Yeah, it's pretty flat at the moment.
Okay, bad news for the alt bag holders. Keep holding on to those bags.
Yeah, I mean, treading water.
Treading water.
It could be worse news.
Could be worse news. You could be still holding on to Ohm.
Yeah. My condolences.
Wonder how that's going. Haven't checked, so don't know. Although, okay, so actually more bad news for the altcoin holders. BlackRock has said they do not have any plans to file an XRP or SOL ETF. So, yep.
I mean, they're like the adults in the room, right? You hope. So if they filed an XRP or a Solana ETF, I'd be a little bit disappointed, I think.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Like, it's funny like that. You got these imagined things in your head about how people should act, and BlackRock should be the big boys in the room. I hope they sit at the front of the table and, you ask permission before you pick up your knife and fork and you can eat. Yeah. So if they listed it, I'd be like, oh God, this is a top signal. But,
Top signal.
Yeah,
Okay.
No, I'm glad they held on.
Market's still healthy. So inflation watch this week. So other big news, inflation watch. In fact, I think just as we went live, Australia dropped its rates by 0.25%, which is probably a surprise to no one. But I tell you what, who is absolutely sweating bullets is the public servant who is going to release the pivotal consumer price index numbers in the US.
Yes.
Because if they're not good, Trump will sack them like they did.
This is just like a cartoon, isn't it? How is this real life?
Yeah, it could be really. I don't know who it is, but hope your numbers are good.
Yeah.
A lower than expected CPI figure is likely to bolster bullish sentiment. So I tell you what, the CPI figure is coming hot. Someone's going to be looking for a new job.
I mean, there's so much pressure on Powell at the moment to do this, to drop the rates. And in fact, we might talk about it later, but there's one of the Fed directors quit unexpectedly.
Oh, Bohans. No, sorry. That was another quitting.
Yeah, they're not on the Fed. They're part of the White House. Yeah, the
Wrong
Fed,
public servant.
one of the Fed directors quit, and which kind of created this vacuum, a space for someone new to go. And so Trump was like, well, I know exactly who I'm going to put in there, of course, and he put in one of his own sort of people. And that's sort of, I don't know. There's lots to discuss there because I feel like there's pressure from Trump on the Fed, which shouldn't exist, right? The Fed is literally mandated to be this independent, organization that doesn't doesn't bow to the pressures of the White House. And yet here we are, like Trump publicly talking about how he wants rates to go lower and how he's, going and meeting with Powell and whatever. And now he's, appointed someone else into this White House, into the Fed position on the directors. It's not great.
Yeah,
I'd say not good for democracy and whatnot. But anyway, we'll see what plans out. Maybe it all just works out and it's fine.
Yeah,
we can close out, stick our heads in the sand. And
did you know what can Trump actually do? I guess apart from appoint people and fire people, but they've got old Jerome Powell. He had. Yeah. Trump can't just sack him, I presume, straight away. He needs
I don't know. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, the president, the White House administration, appoints the Fed chair, the Jerome Powell of the Fed. It's supposed to still be this independent, unaffected organization, regardless of the appointment. But it just seems like there's all this obvious pressure from the White House to do things like in this example, drop the rates.
Yeah,
and this isn't without precedent either, right? So if you look back to Nixon applied all this pressure to the current chair of the Fed. They dropped rates and caused this runaway inflation. There was clear, consequences for their actions.
Yep.
It's happening right now with Turkey. So Turkey, the administration there is applying pressure and forcing low rates, and the economy is literally collapsing. The value of their fiat currency is pointless. You look at it, people, it's a famous meme in terms of Bitcoin, right? The price of this thing in Bitcoin is just it's all-time highs every single day.
Yeah, crazy.
Because it's just collapsing completely. Inflation's spiking constantly.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This is the kind of thing you don't want this happening in. I don't know. Yeah,
has it ever been really independent though? Or is it there's always been this veil of independence, but reality is it's always been manipulated. It's always been there's always been some political pressure.
It's driven by humans, so it can only there's inherent corruption and whatnot in there. It's supposed to be independent. I think most other administrations have respected that a bit more, or at least been more covert about their attempts at manipulating it. It just seems like all attempts at all sort of the ability to make this appear as independent is out the window at the moment. And so, I don't know, not out the window. Obviously he hasn't fired Powell yet, and nothing bad's happened. But it just seems all like signs are pointing that way. The way he's applying pressure, the way he's appointing these guys into the director. So the guy who he appointed, Stephen Mirren, is famous for talking about how the Fed should have, how the White House should have more control over the Fed. Directly, in opposition to what its mandate is. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I don't even down.
No, this is good.
It's crazy.
See,
stuff.
this is how it balances because in theory, I should have prepared and read the questions, but I don't.
No.
But lucky you do.
Yeah.
So sometimes things just follow their own path.
Anyway, so we'll get to that later. You can skip that whole section because we've done it. But
All right.
No, it is pretty interesting, how this is all playing out, and nothing's broken yet, nothing's on fire yet. But unfortunately, the direction we're heading in doesn't seem great.
Yeah. No. Okay. It is concerning, I guess. Although Michael Saylor made a really good point about sort of monetary policy in general. It's it's such an inexact science. I think we tend to think of it as this exact science. Well, numbers and things are boiling and the dials, and you just twist it and everything works out fine. But the reality is, just doesn't.
No,
Just always ends up being like people's projections invariably end up being just wrong.
100%.
And it's kind of people just kind of best guessing at it.
Yeah,
You know.
there's such broad strokes when you're talking about like these monetary fiscal levers that the government has to pull and the Fed has to pull. They do some stuff and just hope that the outcomes are what they used to be. And it's such a broad kind of, you know, longer, like medium to long term view on what they can do.
Yeah. No, absolutely. All right, so let's have a quick chat then about some activity across the desk, because we've seen some interesting stuff happening, I guess, BTC profit taking. But we've also seen some rotation into some altcoin purchases, which is of interest. Of course, you deny that ever happened. I hope it was like some real obscure altcoin too. I know. Jared have you been buying some more Cardano? Or ADA, sorry. And stablecoin off-ramp flows continue to outweigh on-ramps, but not significantly. So we're seeing a fairly balanced market there. What else can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I guess the offloading has been interesting. Something I noticed recently, or the last day or two, it hasn't been so bad today, but the off-ramping was significant. So I didn't look into the data in terms of, you know, if this is one client or just generally across the board. I'm going to say it's more generally across the board just because of the, you know, the patterns that I noticed. But yeah, we've had a lot of offloading across the board on Bitcoin, you know, Ethereum, USDT. You look at the markets compared to sort of other exchanges out there, and our prices are generally lower, which is great if you're a buyer, of course. But you know, it's just showing how much sell pressure there is at the moment.
Right.
Today, it's you know, within normal again, so I guess it's sort of subsided. But yeah, there has been a lot of sell pressure across the book. We've seen a bit of it on the desk as well. People coming in, I guess just most of the other thing I actually have noticed with the OTC desk is that people are selling, but they're not selling everything they have. So they're just, I feel like it's sort of
trimming their positions
locking in profits. You know, prices looking pretty good. We're basically, you know, a couple of $1,000 off all-time highs at the moment. It makes sense. Like if you've got a lot of crypto, you know, rebalance, because, you know, as the prices are at this height, you're probably oversized on your crypto portfolio. And that makes total sense to me.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so it's, you know, I guess humans they really like to, they tend to look at, round numbers are always like a real popular time for buying and
it's
selling.
psychological.
Right,
Yeah.
but also all-time highs, even though, again, it shouldn't really matter, right? But it does. It's just this number that kind of sticks in people's heads. You tend to find a lot more buying and selling around those points for some reason.
Yeah, it depends on your viewpoint. Like, yeah, for me, it's less about being at all-time highs now and looking at like a larger cycle, kind of, you know, a 4-year cycle is very popular. I think we might sort of delve into 4-year cycle next week.
Yes,
Talk
that's
about
right.
it in some more depth, because I think there's we're going to be getting a lot of questions about cycle theory and how that all works. So I think that's a really interesting kind of topic we can talk about.
And I think we were thinking next week we could actually, beyond just, I guess, the fact that there is a 4-year cycle, delve into kind of some interesting stuff that we've seen, maybe some historical landmarks along the way. And it's kind of really interesting that you know, there's this 4-year cycle, but just it always just happens to coincide with some landmark incidences.
Yes.
Why is that?
It's because we live in a simulation. So nothing, everything, you know, there's no such thing as predetermined. Sorry, everything is predetermined. You don't have your own decisions in life. No, it's kind of spooky, to be honest.
Spooky.
But we can talk about that next week. Let's not spend hours today.
Okay. So stay tuned next week. We'll delve into that. So thank you for the gentleman who requested that online. Thank you. We'll jump into that next week. Okay, so we have to get into some more bullish news then. So the headlines keep rolling in this week. The big one is President Trump backing at least his claim to be the most pro-crypto president of all time. Well, by definition, being the only one that's been pro-crypto.
Yes.
So I guess that's good news. But he's issuing an executive order opening up the $12.2 trillion 401k retirement plans to crypto. So I know we spoke about this last week, but it is a lot of money that previously had...
Yeah, this is a lot of money. No, sorry. Just the way you said it. I was like, do you know how much money?
$12.2 trillion.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
I don't even know how many zeros that is. But it sounds like a lot. Anyway, it's lots of money. I think it's more than I have. I think, and technically, retirement plans. I guess a lot of that money had always flown into I guess crypto. They had I guess. MicroStrategy had been a real popular one. The ETFs are becoming more popular. But being able to, what does this mean? Does this mean we can buy direct Bitcoin now through that fund, or do you think this will just be that the amount of money that was already in that scheme is already allocated to crypto in a certain way, or is this going to bring in actually new sort of marginal buyers that otherwise wouldn't be participating in the market?
Yeah, I think there will be new buyers. So talking harking on your strategy comment there, MicroStrategy strategy. You can't, if you have a managed 401k or superannuation, you don't get to choose what it gets invested in, right? You get the high level kind of, I can choose a risky plan or a medium risk or a low risk or whatever, depending on what you think is appropriate. But you don't actually get to tell them, hey, buy strategy. Even if you want Bitcoin, and you certainly can't tell them to buy Bitcoin because they'll just tell you to, go away. But in a self-directed 401k or a SMSF self-managed superannuation fund, you can do things like buy strategy much easier. It's simple to buy sort of stocks on stocks or shares on like an ASX or a stock market.
Sorry, excuse me.
That's all right. What this thing is doing though is enabling these fund managers, so the non-self-directed 401k. SMSF style superannuation vehicles to buy that stuff. And it's not saying, they can technically buy it right now, but they get kind of punished for it. So I was writing this down just before. Who was it? Oh, Fidelity. A couple of years ago, Fidelity was like, all right, sweet, crypto's awesome. And this is kind of in the last cycle. They were like, yeah, this is great. We're going to have like a crypto kind of way. And so you, and they could do it, right? There's nothing stopping them from doing it, except as soon as they did it, one of the agencies came in and gave them an official warning and said, that's too risky, stop it.
Yeah, right.
And so even though they technically didn't do anything wrong, there was other rules that prevented other agencies from not doing something, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
So what Trump's done here is he's basically said, look, I need all you agencies out there that make the rules and that enforce them and monitor this kind of industry to make sure that you understand that these riskier assets like crypto, like private equity, like real estate, there's a bunch of them. It's not just crypto, but they need to update their rules to say that these aren't disallowed anymore. So if Fidelity came back and tried to do something similar to that, they wouldn't suddenly get this notice of warning to say, hey, you got to stop that. That's too risky. You got a fiduciary obligation to your customers to do the most safe investments and whatever.
Gotcha.
So I don't think anything is immediately coming in. People keep bandying about this $12 trillion number. Yeah. And it's not untrue. It's true, but it's not like $12 trillion is going to get dumped into crypto.
Of course.
The fund managers still have to make a decision, and it's going to be the guys who are willing to take a bit of a risk that now have the pathway to do it. Whereas before it was much more difficult, and there's roadblocks along the way.
Yeah, so it's kind of like the restrictions have been sort of widened such that now no longer crypto is seen on the outside of that risk.
Yeah. So theoretically, they should do it without getting these warnings about being, about their fiduciary obligations, and they should be okay. But it would still take, these fund managers to make a decision and go, you know what, this is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And a lot of these guys are so risk averse because they're dealing with people's, retirement money, right? You can't
generally pretty conservative until
but.
Well, we have the same thing in Australia. I know with the advice market, for example. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of advisors out there whose clients are coming to them and saying, "Hey, I'd love to invest in crypto," and they're like, "Well, look, to be honest, it's just outside of my ability. I can't advise on that. We don't have we don't have public indemnity insurance for recommending that and all this kind of stuff. So even if they want to, even if they're really, really pro crypto, they're like, I just can't.
Yeah,
I just can't. I mean, it's not worth my license. You know.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. So the concept of safe harbor has been introduced here as well. So, so these guys have they've got the protection, I suppose. If they do suggest something or offer this crypto thing and something goes bad, they don't immediately get sued,
exactly.
for every dollar that they own, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So they can, which is good.
It narrows it widens the area of assets they can play in safely.
Yeah.
And so the second big second big executive order that Trump issued was preventing banks from debanking clients in the crypto industry or for their political views. This is actually a huge, bigger thing than people realize, I think. Those outside of the crypto industry probably aren't aware of just how bad the debanking industry, debanking
It's
issue.
become an industry, hasn't it?
Yeah. There's people out there that, the debanking issue is huge in crypto. It's huge in Australia and it's huge in the US. And in fact, we saw this with the banking crisis last year. There was the Silicon Valley Bank that went down, and there was, some crypto banks which got shut down. They weren't even necessarily, they weren't even necessarily in trouble, but they got shut down for perceived risk. We remember the Silvergate issue. Now, Signature Bank, sorry. Now, they got shut down almost on the political views as well, that they thought, well, crypto's too risky. We should systematically debank this industry.
Yeah. This is the whole Operation Choke Point 2.0
correct, yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. And it was a legitimate thing. So I know I've spoken to lawyers and people who have sort of, sensed that, and there's been enough, I guess, information flown from that where it was pretty evident that Operation Choke Point 2.0, whatever it was not a conspiracy theory. But, this is what's crazy. Now, they're going, well, we'll just make sure that we just do not allow this industry to exist, which is crazy, right? But it is what it is. And one day we'll look back and be like, wow, they really were some vested interests,
100%.
But the Trump family, here's the interesting fact. The Trump family was debanked after its first term, controversial first term. I don't know. Well, it depends on who
Are you kidding me?
Controversial.
It was
it controversial?
Look how it ended.
I know. I don't think it's controversial to call that controversial. But it's how, obviously, it goes to show that the debanking issue can be used politically as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a look at, there's a clip where Donald Trump Jr. is talking about the debanking. And it's interesting because, the Trump family presents this very united front, right? They're all pro whatever Donald Trump Sr. does, which is kind of expected. These kind of families have just been in the limelight forever. They've got to present this. They've got to have this face for the media and the public. And Donald Trump Jr. was talking about
Donald Trump or
no Donald Trump Jr.
Oh, he's actually Donald Trump Jr. You're not just referring to him as hey Junior.
Okay. No. It's one of his sons. Yeah, the son from the first marriage.
I like Baron. Baron's my favorite
from the second marriage.
Yeah, right. Baron's definitely my favorite.
Yeah, he's got a bit of sass. Donald Trump Jr. is talking about it, and I was kind of interested because it's a pro crypto talk. He's on one of these CNBC kind of TV show things. He's talking about it, and I'm like, okay, how can you sort of be pro America but also be pro Bitcoin, which is kind of we talked about last week the what was it called, the speculative attack against the USD, right? Like it's everyone's selling the USD as the soft currency, the lesser the lesser valuable currency, and buying the harder currency, Bitcoin. But he's very careful in his talk to not talk about how Bitcoin and he says crypto. I don't think he even says Bitcoin. He says crypto is. He doesn't talk about how crypto is better than the US dollar. He just talks about how the banking industry is unfair. The banking industry is a bunch of crooks.
Yep.
There's corruption, and they never really noticed because they were at the top of the banking sort of pyramid or something he talks about.
Yeah.
And now that after they got once they realized lost the second whatever, then all the banks were like, you know what, you're now with the plebs, you're debanked kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he was like, holy crap, is this what it's like for everyone? And that's why, and according to him, that's why they went all in on crypto.
No way.
Because crypto, you can't do that. You can't debank people. It's
that's
decentralized.
Fascinating.
That
is fascinating.
But for me, I was like, listening out very closely, and he doesn't talk about how it's better than the USD, which makes sense to me because they all this is all the rhetoric is about talking about how the US is the best country in the world and the USD can never be toppled and blah blah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was interesting.
No, that is fascinating. That is absolutely fascinating. Because until I was doing my preparation, which I always do thoroughly, I didn't know that the Trump family get dubbed. I think I've got a vague memory of it happening, but it's funny that once it happens to you, because everyone's, in Australia we have, broadly speaking, really great banking services. I mean, everyone loves to bash the banks and stuff like that, but everyone has access to, pretty much everyone does have access to good banking services, but you only notice it when they decide they don't want to play with you anymore, and you're like, holy shit, I actually kind of need this for everything I do.
So true. Across the years, we've seen so many people in the industry get debanked for various reasons, whether it be counterparties, vendors, customers. It happens to us as well. We've been debanked many times. and you just have to. Yeah, it's suddenly this thing you take for granted is you realize, oh man,
Yeah.
this is not something I can take for
Because you
granted.
kind of always assume that your money, you're always going to have access to your own money, and people always provide you services and
100%,
all
like,
this kind of stuff.
You get
And
paid.
it's a
What do you
basic.
get paid to? Well, you don't get paid in cash, do you? You get paid. Well, I guess some people do, but yeah, you get paid into a bank account. What if you don't have one?
Yeah, and the
Like,
government.
how would I get paid without a bank account? It wouldn't happen.
I know. Oh, well,
Yeah.
you could go back to cash, and I mean, the thing is, this is crazy. Is like the government is, there's definitely a push towards making things more cashless, and you go to the bank and they want to know what you're doing with your cash, and you go, getting if you've rocked up anywhere because you're like, I don't have a bank account, so I can only get paid in cash. You want to buy anything? I want to buy a new fridge or whatever, and I'm only paying cash. Or what's the limit? $10,000. I want to buy a new car.
Yeah. Well, it's not a limit. It's just you get reported after over $10,000.
And you're going to get reported for spending your own money
on a fridge. Yeah. Hey, can I borrow $10,000 for that?
in cash.
Yeah, of course. I don't have a bank account.
If I had $10,000 to give, sure, Nick, for you,
Yeah.
you're good for it.
Yeah,
Although,
yeah, sure.
although you last, well, I would have, I would have $10,000 if you didn't tell me to buy Ohm.
Yeah, I didn't. You also have to sell it.
Well, I technically haven't taken a
Two
loss
parts
yet.
to a trade.
You're supposed to do your own research.
Do your own rotation.
I'm not bitter. Sorry, no, I'm coughing. Because I can't afford health insurance because they don't accept cash. Oh, Jared's coughing too. It's
Oh my
contagious.
God, I might actually leave the studio. This
Sorry.
is,
It's a dry cough. It's just been getting around. Everyone's going, it's this dry cough, man. Trying to kill me. All right, time to talk about something near and dear to your heart. Ethereum, we're back on top. The ETH whisperer has spoken, and Ethereum is moving again, not to all-time highs, so it says back on top.
I was wondering
Nearly
about-
back on top.
I mean, it's on top of our consciousness. I'll give that.
Sorry. I wasn't coughing at what you just said. I just...
No, I'll call Triple O and get the ambulance on the way.
No, don't. I can't afford it. Ethereum's back on top. Ethereum has smashed through 4,000, the $6,000 mark. And the peak was, actually, we're just $500 short of the all-time high in Australian dollars.
In US. Oh, really? Oh, wow. Okay.
We're $365 short in US terms.
Oof.
So we're close.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty good.
close.
I thought the top was like 4,800, which would put us about 500 US away. Anyway, either way, it's close. These are numbers we haven't seen in so long. As I was saying at the start when I didn't have my microphone near my mouth, these numbers
scratch that. We're,
been-
sorry, I lie. We're under $100 off the top.
What?
All-time high. We may even cross the all-time high during this podcast.
4,800. No.
4,891.
Yeah, well, we're not even close. We're like
Jared!
$600 off.
I didn't write this.
Yeah. Anyway,
We lied to.
but the fact is that these numbers, we haven't seen them for so long. We might as well be at all time high. This is my point because everyone's forgotten two cycles ago when we last hit these numbers. Everyone went crazy for Ethereum, and we've just Ethereum and its ilk have been eating shit for so long now. The numbers are bullish. The ratio against Bitcoin is bullish. The ratio against everything is bullish. It's fun to watch.
What's apart from you saying that the Pectra upgrade was the best thing since last spread? What's fueling this rally?
No, nothing. It's just that. It's just what I said. No,
Vitalik, thank you for listening and raising prices.
No, the thing is, it's the rotation from Bitcoin treasury companies into Ethereum treasury companies. I think that seems to be the real news at the moment. There's no crazy releases on the network. There's nothing else seems to be really standing out. We'll talk about some treasury numbers in a sec, but I think it's probably mostly driven by treasury.
Yeah. No, it's okay. Yeah, and I know we're going to talk about that in a second because the treasury company frenzy has absolutely continued. We've definitely got some interesting stuff to talk about there. But before we move on to there is one last thing to keep in continuity with our previous discussion about the Trump family and the Trump offspring. Eric Trump posted this. It puts a smile on my face to see ETH shorts getting smoked today.
Yeah, like these guys. Do you get the feeling that these the Trumps, the Eric Trump, what's the other one?
I only knew about Eric and Barron. I didn't even know about
Donald
Jr.
Trump Jr. exists.
Yeah.
But I feel like Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr. They kind of look similar. They're from the same. They got the same mum and the same dad, obviously. Well, Barron doesn't have the same mum. Anyway, I feel like they're sort of the Winklevoss twins V2. You know, like they're often seen out together. They're in crypto. They're like bullish. They're not getting their hands dirty like the Winklevoss. Like they don't run an exchange. Like those guys put their money where their mouth is and built something. But yeah, I just get these big vibes about the Winklevoss twins. I see them around and
Oh, right.
and anyway, that's just a idle.
Can we,
thought.
I know we can't throw it up on the screen, but do we have like the Trump family tree? Fascinating. How many kids has he got now?
We'll get it sorted.
It's got like some girls as well, like Ivanka.
Ivanka's there.
And there's maybe another one.
Oh, here we go.
I'll put it up on screen.
Put up on screen. Hey, this week, not that you can see it on your side of the camera, but we actually put a little teleprompter in front of us, so we don't have to look off to the side, which is pretty awesome. We can recall facts all day now, just like we knew them off the top of our head and weren't reading them. Although we are.
Add a screen.
Okay, a little bit of we'll have to digress a little bit on the Trump family stuff, seeing as we've gone down that rabbit hole.
I reckon they're like these key opinion leaders. They're trying to become cold, you know, KOLs in the space, posting stuff about, you know, shorts getting smoked. Like those aren't big boy words. You know, like you don't see the.
They're trying to stay in touch with the kids these days.
I feel like they're carrying the skateboard with the hat on backwards.
Hello, fellow kids.
Yeah, and trying to maintain their ability to exist in both worlds, and maybe they can. You know, if they pull it off, congrats to them. But I feel like they've got a lot of heavy lifting to do, because with the Trump name, it's a lot of people sort of.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Hey, we have.
1 second.
we
I've
ju-
got it, yeah.
We're going to look at the slides here. There's that image of
Audio.
Barrett at inauguration, at Trump's inauguration, where he was like, no one knows what he said. He said something to Joe Biden.
All right, there we go. So we can see I can't really see that.
Oh, I can't see that.
Trump's in the middle.
He's got a lot of kids.
What's he got?
Lot
Yeah,
of-
1, 2, 3. Okay, so on the bottom left, that's Donald Trump Jr., I think. In the middle's Ivanka. Then we've got Eric, and then we've got another
2,
girl.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is that 8 kids? 8 kids to 2 or 3 different women?
Yeah, I mean, there's people behind that. Whoever that guy in black and white is kind of cutting off the image. But it's
Oh, that's Epstein.
very good.
We are a fountain
Epstein
of
is
knowledge.
a 16-year-old.
We should have those facts better, considering they're right in front of us.
Yeah.
Anyway, hey, Treasury companies. Treasury company frenzy continues. So it's just crazy. So Tom Lee's Bitmine is gone absolutely mad. He's amassed 1.2 million
Absolutely
ETH,
mad.
which is double Sharplink's, because we were having a big chat about Sharplink getting up to like 570,000 or whatever. And Bitmine it's Tom Lee's thing, has doubled that, so 1.2. It's just incredible. So people, I mean, I guess we talked about this many, many times, but I'm going to hand the floor over to you because you've been deep in the weeds on this one.
Oh, there's no question there.
No, there's no question. Zero questions. I'm handing it. That's why I said, did I say? I said handing it over to you because I don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah, fair enough. No, yeah, Tom Lee has been, so this guy's really like, he's you know, putting his feet on the floor and working it, right? So he's doing every podcast that's possible. He's going on TV shows, he's signing book deals, he's kissing babies, he's doing whatever it takes to get this message that he's just going to buy all of the ETH that exists out there. And which is, you know, that's what he needs to do. That's what Saylor did back in the day.
Yeah.
Even though Saylor ate shit for so long because everyone was
didn't he?
like, you know, watching his liquidation point and people posting fake liquidation prices and going, watch out, it's about to hit. And everyone's like, and meanwhile, Saylor's going, what are you talking about? None of that's true at all. But yeah, he's really doing that stuff in an environment where it's conducive to do so. Like we're in this awesome bull market at the moment. Everything's looking rosy. And Tom Lee is hitting the streets and selling his wares. And yeah, he bought like 1.2 million Ethereum or something like
crazy.
that.
Yeah,
It's
he's
a
amassed
big
1.2.
number. They're obviously the biggest holder at the moment. His goal is, you know what I think he needs though? The thing he's missing at the moment is memes. So Saylor got a bunch of memes, whether he meant to or not. You know, it's going up forever, Laura.
Yeah.
Like there is no second best. Like there's all these, you know, classic Saylor memes. We need some Tom Lee memes. I don't know if he's as memeable as Saylor. It's kind of maybe not. Maybe he's too serious. I don't know. We'll wait and see. I don't know the man. But yeah. Once we get some of that, I think he can kind of burst into the stratosphere.
Yeah.
So Bitmine's goal, or shall we call it Tom Lee? It's kind of like strategy. Is it strategy or is it just Saylor? Is it Bitmine or is it just Tom Lee? I mean, Tom Lee used to be a Bitcoin guy anyway.
Yeah.
I digress. So their goal is to own 5% of the circulating supply of Ethereum, which is a big goal. 5% is something like, I think it's like 20 or $30 billion worth of Ethereum at the current price. A lot of money.
Crazy.
But that's their goal. They're trying to pick up all of this Ethereum, and at the moment they're doing a good job of it. They're leading the way. There's a new company coming out.
Yep. Fundamental Global.
Fundamental Global, which has nothing like Bitmine. Well, actually, it's even further removed from crypto. At least Bitmine was a Bitcoin mining kind of company. Fundamental Global, who's renaming themselves to FG Nexus or something like that, have decided, you know what, we're gonna 5% is too low of a goal. We've decided we're going to own 10% of the circulating supply of Ethereum. They've got something like $5 billion.
US $5 billion shelf offering to buy.
Yeah,
which supposedly 10% of the supply.
Yes, that's right. So the $5 billion is 10% of their goal. At current prices, it all depends on what the price is, obviously, which is huge.
Incredible.
Yeah, I mean, not financial advice, but that's a lot of stated buy pressure. Like the price of Ethereum can only go one way, assuming they pull it off. Obviously, there's this is all just sort of they've put it out there and it's their plans, and it doesn't mean it's actually going to happen.
Yeah.
Tom Lee and Bitmine are executing, and have been executing for a while. So there's much less sort of risk, I suppose, there. But yeah, FG Nexus has got a very grand plan. I don't know if I would agree with it necessarily. Like if you own 10% of the circulating supply, like that in itself is a risk. Like even what Saylor's doing, I think Saylor plans to own something like 7% of Bitcoin. I think that was his kind of goal at a high level. And even that's like it's a lot of the supply. You're kind of shooting yourself in the foot, I feel. If you own so much, people get a bit nervous and be like, you know what, maybe I'm not that interested anymore. Like if some guys just owns everything.
Yeah, right.
Or some entity. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, totally.
I feel like there's a risk there. and we've got Bitmine who wants to own 5%. We've got FG Nexus who wants to own 10%. There's others out there that obviously have plans as well. Whether they can execute is another question. But yeah, it's pretty interesting times. And at the moment, holy crap, that's a lot of buy pressure. I think we have a question from
Internet.
From the internet. Is there wisdom in announcing buy plans? These guys, if you look at Saylor's playbook, he sort of famously buys the tops, right? He doesn't. He just does not care where he buys. He just says, "Look, I'm buying. I'm launching. I'm announcing another round of another round of these what are they called? Like convertible notes or oh god, I've lost the word. Where they basically issue more shares to the market. ATM, that's it. Like at the market offerings, and he just doesn't care. He gets the money, he buys. If it's a top, it's a top. It's a bottom, it's a bottom. It doesn't really matter. Do they shoot themselves in the foot? Do people try and front run this and buy start along or whatever ahead of time? Sure, probably. But because they've just been doing it so regularly, it's kind of it's taken the edge off people. People realize that he'll buy, another 3,000 Bitcoin or whatever, and the price doesn't seem to move that much because he does it fairly gently in the market. He doesn't just sit there and press market buy on Coinbase or whatever. He obviously comes to me and I sell it to him on the OTC desk.
Advise.
I'm very good at my job. So
Nice.
does it create upward pressure? Yeah, it absolutely does over the longer term. I don't think you might, and maybe even in Ethereum, because Ethereum's market cap's obviously much smaller than Bitcoin's. It's much easier to, manipulate. It's not really manipulation, but the volatility is much higher just because of the smaller market cap. So yeah, it'll probably create upward pressure in the short term, but more in the long term, I think. As long as we see more treasury companies buy. Now, my question here for these treasury companies is, do they have sailors? Are they steadfast like Saylor?
Intestinal fortitude.
And exactly, it doesn't matter what the price does, they just hang on to it. The proof is in the pudding. We'll find out when we find out.
Because it's not just Bitcoin. People are not just doing Bitcoin and ETH. And Bitcoin and ETH, you kind of go, okay, they're large, they're liquid. They've got, they're well-established tokens, and people really more and more people are coming to understand their value proposition, their position in the market. But it's not just limited to that. So there's a couple other examples. There is World Liberty Financial, World Liberty Financial, who I'm not 100% sure what they do, but they're going to raise 1.5 billion to purchase WLFI token, which I've never even heard of.
Well, that's the World Liberty token.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and I don't blame
Buy
you
their
for
own
not-
token.
I don't blame you for not
Well,
hearing about it.
I
No, so
just-
they're not buying the token. I had a look into this one. It's kind of interesting. So they are basically, I want to say taking over, not really, but there's this other company called Alt5 who's decided to become a treasury company, not for Bitcoin, not for Ethereum, not for Solana, not even for Bonk, for WLFI. So they've gone, you know what, WLFI. But one of the Trump twins, I'm going to say, even though I don't think they're actually twins, one of the Trump / Winklevoss twins, I think it's Eric Trump is joining the board of Alt5.
Right.
So he's, which are they? Does Alt5 really truly believe that WLFI, a token that you had never even heard of, is a legitimate and appropriate treasury asset, or is this just like some kind of bootstrapping method to gain popularity and like mind share in the zeitgeist? I'm kind of cynical on this one.
Yeah, okay.
I
I see
feel
what
like
you're
it's
saying.
sort of Trump just trying to get in the news and going, well, there's all these other companies doing like Solana, and there was one last week that was doing Ton. Remember Toncoin? There's the Toncoin treasury. I'm like,
Toncoin.
what? And then
Was it Telegram itself doing it, or is it?
No. Again,
just
some other
random?
random company. And again, I think like one of the big investors was related to Telegram. Like the board of directors, there's a lot of crossover and blah blah blah. And it's kind of similar in this WLFI deal, but it feels like they're just trying to go, you know what, our token is legitimate. Have a look here. Look on the paper. It says we're part of a treasury. One of the companies in the world
Yeah.
has decided to make it part of their treasury. So it's a legitimate token, and you know what, it'll probably work. But it'll work until it doesn't.
Doesn't.
Like there's at some point people will stop looking at this and stop believing, because these companies who maybe not naively, but like without looking deeper, you kind of think companies are run by serious people who do their research and know what they're doing. And the more weird treasury things like WLFI and TON and whatever that get created, I'm getting a bit more cynical about how much research is
Let's
being
get
done.
let's get your reaction. Let's get your unboxing reaction then on this one, because Safety Shot has added $25 million worth of bonk.
Exactly, like case in point, Bonk.
I love the meme coin, but like for a treasury asset.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Like it's great for a speculative asset. Go take a punt, long it, short it, whatever. Have fun. Mint some tokens on Bonk. Do your little DeFi. But as a treasury asset, that's, oh my god. Like, what does the company do? These are the first things I look into this. So, what did the companies do before they decided to pivot into this treasury thing? Do they actually have a business model? As far as I can tell, most of them actually do. But if I was a customer of that company, man, I'd be nervous. I'd be like, hang on, what? So if Bonk doesn't turn out to be the treasury asset that you expect it to be, I'm up shit creek, Like I'm trusting you to help me run my business in whatever way they do. So like for example, the FG Nexus guys, they have a bunch of sort of diversified, business lines, and it doesn't sound like they're shutting it down. So it sounds like they might be spinning it off to like a separate trust entity where they're going to run the legacy business lines, I suppose, and FG Nexus is going to become this crazy, massive Ethereum treasury company. But they're not going to, shut down their other stuff, and it can probably run on its own. Insofar that if the ETH thing doesn't work out, I guess there's not going to be any crossover, and they'll be okay. I don't know. But like when you make the actual company, like treasury company for Bonk. I mean, for those ones, I would not be sitting there going, those guys are going to hold for 20 years, 30 years, decades, whatever. Like, whereas the Bitcoin and Ethereum ones, I can, sure, like Ethereum is the crypto oil or whatever.
Yeah.
Say Bitcoin is obviously, it's got the Lindy effect. It's the biggest Lindy effect of them all. So I can believe someone like Sailor when they say, nah, we're holding for the long term. But Bonk, oh my gosh. Anyway, it's a hot take from me.
Hot take. All right.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe bonk is the future.
Are we listing Bonk?
Yeah, we are. Well, yeah, hopefully. We're looking at listing Bonk and Pengu, a little bit of inside knowledge. Obviously, we don't necessarily recommend you as a listener and a company owner put Bonk into your treasury.
We don't recommend anything.
We wouldn't recommend anything. And if you want to, you can, and OTC Desk is there to help. But, yeah,
Yeah, okay. Stay tuned.
My personal opinion, don't do it.
Yeah, I actually know some guys from Bonk. Maybe I have to ask them about their view on this because maybe they've got some.
That would be very interesting.
I will.
Yeah.
I'll gather some. I'll gather some inside intel. I know the guys from Bonk, and I'll see what they say. And maybe they will be like, "You guys are idiots."
We're
Bonk.
just bonking. We just do bonks.
All right. Okay. Stay tuned for next week. I'll get that intel. All right. So Stripe to create its own blockchain. That's pretty cool. They're a fintech and payment business. They're a huge business, really. And they're going to come up with a high performance payment focused blockchain, which is interesting, called Tempo.
Yeah, this is interesting. I thought it was just more of like companies taking advantage of the new stable regulations that have come into play in the US. So they're like, and I think it's the right thing to do. You got to try and get ahead of the curve, and you want to be the first mover advantage. But I think, I don't think there's much to say here. They're just trying to push ahead with stable coins and do, take advantage of the blockchain. Awesome.
Just some background news for those like looking for some headlines. Okay, Bo Hines. So Bo Hines has been the director of the White House Crypto Council. He's stepping down to go back into the private sector. Has decided that he doesn't like working for a government paycheck. So Patrick Witt, the deputy director, most likely to be appointed.
Yes, those of you who don't remember, Bo Hines was the guy who really talked up the reserve. How the US government was going to create a Bitcoin reserve.
That's right.
And other like crypto reserve stuff. This one kind of surprised me, to be honest. Like, he's only been in the role for about 8 months. So where's he going? Why is he going? Has he been pushed out? Has something happened that he doesn't like? Everything outwardly shows that it's a very amicable split, and he's loved what he's achieved, and he loves the team he worked for and worked with, and thinks there's like great things in the future and whatever. I don't know. I'm like, cynic in me says there's something else going on here.
He was,
some kind of scandal.
Maybe he was just playing a part in the CPI figures, and
yeah, that's it. He had some bad.
He knew
job
some hot numbers were coming in.
Oh man, he's creating bad job numbers.
Yeah.
He quit.
He's creating it.
He's probably a Democrat.
Yeah, maybe. No, I mean, like, he seemed to have done a bunch of good things. I've heard people talk about how he was he didn't do enough for the reserve thing, but I'm like, he couldn't, because the whole concept with the US Bitcoin reserve was that they can't buy new Bitcoin. They have to find a what was it called, like a budget neutral pathway to accumulate Bitcoin. Yeah. That's a difficult task, right? Like, you've got to find a way not to spend taxpayer money, but to continue contributing, to continue building your strategic reserve. And he didn't really do that much, but what could he have done? Like, he didn't sell any Bitcoin, totally. And he just said it was just the party message. Like, so I don't think that was why he got out. I think he, I don't know. I feel like there's something else. He's going back to private sector and going to work in AI or something. Maybe help out with the White House's AI initiatives or something. I don't know.
Someone just probably offered him more money.
Maybe.
All right. So to next headline. So what happened this week? Tornado Cash developer found guilty. I'd love to hear the background of the story because I always feel like these guys just built some tech.
Yeah.
Right. So Roman Storm, powerful name, was convicted last week of operating an unlicensed money transmitting business. It's just a developer building a program. Really, it's crazy. I mean,
yeah, you're right. Like, I think the libertarian in me says, it's not about, like, he didn't do it. He just built the software that allows people to do it, and there's legitimate uses for this software as well. When you look a bit deeper, it's not as clear cut, I think. Like, there's these photos of him wearing a T-shirt that basically has like, it's got like, I'll try and sort of move over here. Got like a Ethereum with like stink lines coming off it, and then it's got an arrow, and then a washing machine, and then it's got an arrow, and then it's got pictures of Ethereum with like sparkling and clean.
Oh,
and it's like,
come on, mate.
Yeah,
come on, mate.
You're asking for trouble. Like, he obviously didn't think. Maybe he built this thing thinking it was a cute little project, but to make T-shirts, like, you're probably fairly along your journey to get that far. Yeah, it was a bit sus. Like, having said that, so what's happened here is they've accused him of making this service. They're trying to pin him on also money laundering. So him actually being the guy money laundering as well, which wasn't.
Those charges didn't stick.
They did not stick. So I don't know. I don't know the details. I don't know the guy. I don't know exactly what he did and didn't do. He built this software that was primarily, in fairness, used for
Money laundering.
for money laundering, washing money. Like criminals would, a lot of the hacks that happened would then send their money through his Tornado Cash protocol.
Okay.
He didn't, as far as we can tell, he didn't do any of that actual laundering, but he earned fees of all of these illegal activities.
Yeah.
So, oh God, it's messy.
It's a grey area.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So the first stablecoin to get a credit rating, so USDS, the decentralized stablecoin from Sky, formerly Maker. So they've been around for a while. Has received a credit rating of B. I don't know.
Not just B minus. So USDS was previously, or it's kind of a migration from the stablecoin DAI. Many of you would have heard DAI. We list DAI. They got this B minus thing. It's kind of like it's good on one side but not great on the other. So it's great that they got an actual credit rating. It sort of lets them play with the big boys. It lets people, understand the caliber and the pedigree of this coin. But B minus is very low. So C, like the next one under B minus, is C, triple C plus. And as soon as you get into the C territory, it's like there is basically no confidence that you're able to redeem a coin one for one.
Right.
So B minus is like, okay, they're stable. They're just on the good side of stable, of unstable and stable, I guess. They're just in the stability area, but yeah, it's a pretty low rating, and I know, and it would have been a really difficult press release for them to do, I imagine, because they're like, we've got the rating. This is awesome. No one's ever done this before.
But it's shit.
But it's a bad rating. Like, it's not bad, but it's just, it is not a shining rating. And to their credit, they released it. It is what it is. They've done their best, and now it's up to them to build that rating up.
Yeah. Okay.
And I expect in the coming sort of months, years, we're gonna be doing news stories about how it gets upgraded to B, then B plus, then double B, and et cetera, as it sort of rises up the ranks. Hopefully,
Maker's been a bit of a different one because they have been most of the assets that underpin them have been real world assets, and that was kind of the whole shtick, right? So it's not like It's not like they just had internet money based on internet money. It was internet money based on real world things.
I mean, most of it was based on USDC, I guess, famously, like for a long time. They were sort of 60% backed by USDC, which, itself is backed by cash and cash-like assets.
Yep.
Pretty good. But it kind of brings me to USDC, one of the most regulated things. Why didn't they get rated? I didn't look into it, but you'd think, I would have thought they would have done it first. But anyway, this decentralized stablecoin that's been around forever has nipped them.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that's a good wrap.
Question.
No, we're not wrapping up yet, Jared.
Does the decentralized nature of that stable coin favour its rating or hurt it?
I don't. Okay, the question was, in case you didn't hear, does the fact that it's decentralized help it or hinder it in terms of its actual credit rating? I don't know. I expect, because the fact that they're even rating it at all, to me suggests that it probably doesn't matter too much. I'm guessing here. I want to throw my hat in the ring here. I didn't look into sort of the details about how it got rated. The press release kind of just talks about, the fact that it's rated, the fact that, what does this mean for the coin? Why is it important to get rated? Which are all good things. Like, as I say, like getting rated is definitely a positive thing. It's just now that everyone can see behind the curtain. They see it's a B minus, which they're like just hanging on by a thread. Not to say that I don't believe that they can get better and get climb up that rating system, and maybe the rating protocol gets improved and allows different, better aspects of the coin to be included in the rating process. I don't know, but does the fact that it's decentralized versus the other like USDT and USDC classic centralized coins make a difference? Not sure.
Not sure. Okay. Yeah. Fascinating. All right. So Nick, in a totally natural and not pre-prepared way, let's talk about hyperliquid questions.
Yeah. Okay. So let me give a bit of context for this. Recently, on Sunday, we had a release. independentreserve.com and our bitcoin.com.au sites had a deployment and a few changes made to them. Now we support Avalanche and AVAX coins for trading and Hyperliquid for trading. We also support what is it, USDC and Ethereum on different chains, which I think is a great addition. So we can now do USDC on Ethereum and Solana, which we always could or have been for a while. And we can also do USDC and Ethereum on Arbitrum and Base networks. So if you're trying to interact with any of those kind of networks, then it suddenly has become a whole lot easier. You don't have to worry about bridging or any of that stuff. You can just withdraw directly onto your wallet on those networks.
That's cool.
One of the main reasons we listed Arbitrum was for the Hyperliquid network. So I thought it might be interesting to just go through a couple of questions and talk about Hyperliquid and what it means. And because a lot of you, I know for me, if I rewind a few months, like Hyperliquid was a big name. Yeah. There's a lot of noise about Hyperliquid, but how do we what does it mean? Why is it so good? Why are people talking about it? And so let's do some Q&A on Hyperliquid.
All right. Well, the first question that just organically pops to mind is, well, what is Hyperliquid, Nick?
You're really ruining this for me, aren't you? You're like sabotaging me from the get-go.
All right. I'm putting this away because I already know what I'm going to ask.
Yeah. At a high level, let me rewind a little bit. Hyperliquid sort of came into the zeitgeist because there was a big Hyperliquid airdrop. So back in the day, they released this Hyperliquid sort of platform. It's kind of just like any old DeFi platform. You click it, you connect your MetaMask wallet, you can do some trading, and if you've ticked off the boxes, then you can get a pretty sweet airdrop. They did the airdrop a little bit differently to the way the airdrops are normally done, and it wasn't sort of like the released hype, which is the token. They didn't give hype out to all of these VCs and whatnot. It was done in a way that, on the initial launch, the price dipped a little bit, I think. But it's just kind of it went from strength to strength. It was all people were talking about for a while in this space, and it was a pretty amazing example of how to do it well. A drop right. Yeah. What is Hyperliquid? So it's its own layer 1 blockchain, which is called Hypercore. Hyperliquid is the organization, the platform that runs this whole thing, but Hypercore is the layer 1 blockchain. It is built from the ground up to be a order book trading thing. So a lot of if we try and compare this to other systems, if you do trading on Ethereum or trading on wherever, they're basically very general purpose blockchains that you can do all sorts of stuff. You've got so many options. The sky's the limit. Your imagination is all that's going to stop you. Hyperliquid is kind of that's not what we're about. We are about trading. We're about trading spot. We're about trading derivatives. We're about ensuring liquidations are done properly. We're about ensuring that block finality is extremely quick. So when you do something, it happens within a second, less than a second if possible. Yeah. So they've built this whole system from the ground up to be basically an order book trading. So if we just to get into the weeds a bit here, if we compare this to you're trading on Uniswap, for example. With Uniswap, you're looking at what's called an AMM, automated market maker. Yep. So if you buy or sell from an AMM, it kind of adjusts the price as the AMM runs out of one side of the token. So if it's like, say, Ethereum to USDC, for example, if as the protocol, the contract runs out of USDC, it makes USDC more expensive. Yep. So it's easier to do the other side of the trade, and that's kind of it. Just adjusts depending on if there's too much USDC, then it makes USDC cheap. If there's too much Ethereum, it makes Ethereum cheap. Whereas on Hyperliquid, they're not trying to do an AMM protocol at all. It's literally an order book, just like an exchange. Yep. So you can buy and sell. There's limit orders. You can see all the pricing and all that kind of stuff. It's pretty sweet, and it's all very quick. Block finality is so quick, so you don't have to worry about, when you're doing it on Ethereum, you sit there and put a trade in, then you sit there looking at your computer going, God, please, I hope this comes through. Yeah. And then eventually you go, that's been mined in a block. And you're like, oh, thank God. Yeah, the trade's gone through and you've got it. Whereas in this thing, it's it's done. You're basically trading on a normal order book. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I guess though, if we're going to talk about hype, then we probably need to jump into what the hype EVM is, for example, as well, and get a big understanding about that as well. Yeah, so
Hyperliquid back in February or March, I think, they released a sort of a parallel blockchain called the Hyper EVM. People might have heard of this, and when you're doing, if you're depositing or withdrawing hype on independent reserve, you're doing it from using the Hyper EVM blockchain. It's basically this parallel blockchain because Hypercore, the main L1 that Hyperliquid built, is kind of closed source. You can't really build on it. You can't, write wallets for it. You can't interact with it directly. You kind of have to do it through their website, app.hyperliquid.whatever, XYZ or something like that. Whereas, so what they did is they're like, okay, let's make this a bit easier for people to do some building on. So they built this secondary parallel system called Hyper EVM, and it basically follows the Ethereum address space. So you have like a 0x address, you can connect your MetaMask wallet to it, you can contract builders can use Solidity. If you know what Solidity is, it's like the building blocks of Ethereum and all the even Avalanche and Polygon and all the layer 2s and all the EVM style blockchains use this Solidity programming language to build applications on. You can use Solidity to build contracts on Hyper EVM, and it's just a cool way. But the benefit of Hyper EVM is it's got these inbuilt ways for if you're building an application or a DEX or whatever, like some kind of decentralized thing on Hyper EVM, you can talk to the Hypercore order book, which is what we were talking about before. You can directly talk to it using these special they call precompiles, special calls in the system, and it means that you can access this incredible super fast block, sub-second block finality order book, built layer 1 system from the ground up, built for this stuff. You can access it through the EVM. So it just allows for them to build these cool little DeFi platforms that back into this Hyperliquid, Hypercore thing. In terms of if you want your own wallet and want to take custody of your Hype tokens, you can't do that on Hypercore because, as I say, there's no wallets or whatever built for it. But what you can do is withdraw it on the Hype EVM system. And that's how you could trade on independent reserve with the Hype as well.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's super cool. I guess the other big component to then talk about with Hype in particular is how does Arbitrum play into all this?
Yeah, so Arbitrum, if you sort of rewind, Arbitrum was the only way to interact with Hype. Or with Hyperliquid. So if you wanted to put some money on Hyperliquid, you would put it on the Arbitrum system, you would connect your MetaMask on Arbitrum wallet to the Hyperliquid system, and then you'd kind of transfer your USDC, which is the only token that you were allowed to use. You could transfer that to the Hyperliquid Hyperliquid, platform. That was that's not true anymore. So now you can actually send other things on different chains. But that was one of the key drivers behind us listing the Arbitrum for USDC and ETH is for just to allow people easy access into the system if they don't want to, if they want to do more than just buy Hype. Obviously, if they want to buy Hype, they can just do it on IR now. It's super easy. If they want to interact with the perps and the derivatives and what other nonsense is going on the Hyperliquid network, then it becomes super easy because they can just withdraw USDC on Arbitrum from independent reserve, and they just go straight to their wallet. Boom, it's on Hyperliquid.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so these days you don't have to use Arbitrum, but it is still by far the most heavily used way to get into that Hyperliquid system. And basically what you're doing when you connect your wallet up with Arbitrum, you're bridging your USDC on Arbitrum to Hyperliquid. Once it's in the Hyperliquid system, there's no need for bridging between Hyper EVM and Hypercore. It's kind of all just it's all, they've figured it out to make it really simple and seamless. But it's interesting sort of system, and we're obviously at Independent Reserve, we're bullish on this Hyperliquid.
It's super cool.
Is it decentralized? Not really. It's built on this blockchain, and they plan on open sourcing the blockchain and you being able to technically build directly on the Hypercore stuff. At the moment, it's not really, because the validator set historically was just 4 validators. They were all run by Hyperliquid, the Hyperliquid organization. I think it's now up to maybe 12 validators, but it's kind of still a bit murky about how they chose these other 8 validators and how it was all decided. But yeah, it's a cool system.
Where do you think some of the most natural applications for Hype would be, for tokenization? Obviously, that's the implication of tokenization and people building on it and a bunch of real world stuff, really. But where would you say that most natural fit is?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think people who are wanting, people who don't want to trade on a centralized exchange will probably be using something like Hyperliquid. At the moment, Hyperliquid isn't that decentralized, as I kind of just mentioned before, but it's a way to be able to do it with basically no KYC, at least at the moment, if this is what you're looking for. It's a way to do it on chain. So if you want to be trading on chain, then Hyperliquid lets you do that. Again, the chain is closed source, so it's hard to sort of see what's going on. But you know, it's this system they've literally built. They've custom built this layer 1 to be an order book trading system.
Yeah,
like they haven't. Everyone else has done it. There's been a bunch of other attempts, like what's it, like Solana Serum did it back in the day. That doesn't exist anymore. Yep. But DYDX did it. SEI, that's a token on Cosmos, did it. Injective, I think they're also on Cosmos. They did, but all of these ones they've tried to build a bunch of stuff into the protocol, but it's still more of like a general purpose kind of system. Whereas Hyperliquid, they have just been laser focused on getting this thing built only for blockchain, only for order books, for spot, for derivatives, for liquidations, to make sure everything runs really smoothly.
Which is super cool for like just getting liquidity and stuff, because I guess that's one of the challenges you have on a lot of dexes as well, is with AMMs that they run, you run the risk of like impairment loss and all these types of things, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Which this would probably solve for in a lot of ways. I mean, you can still...
Yeah, I mean, you kind of like have your normal market makers rock up to this kind of thing, because they're placing bids and offers and you know, moving them around where they are, where they need to. And everyone's kind of got a level playing field, so yeah, it's sort of... Yeah, but I think it's an interesting topic. Feel free to reach out if you've got questions about how it works and what we're keen and interested in looking at the moment. Because there's a lot of cool stuff out there. But Hyperliquid seems cool.
Super cool.
We love it. We listed it.
Like, fill your boots. Oh no, don't fill your boots. Do your own research and then do whatever the hell you want to do.
And empty your boots, maybe.
Empty your boots. I don't know. Why are you asking me? I don't even know what shoe size you got. Definitely not financial advice. Take all that back. Hey, next week, we promised we'd do it this week. Last week we promised we'd do it this week, but we haven't done it. But next week we'll actually deliver the goods. So I'll call out again, because we really wanted to delve into some crypto history.
Well, no, let's do 4-year cycle next week.
But we're going so
far over this week. I think we just don't have enough time to do both.
I definitely can't do it today. But the crypto with 4-year cycle we're going to do next week. But we still want to gather requests for future episodes. Crypto history.
Yeah, I think this is something that interests me particularly. I love talking about it. If you have any specific questions, please send them through. If you have anything you want to talk about, any feedback, please absolutely send them through. If we don't get anyone, we will pick a topic, as we said, because I'm just going to talk about it, whether or not anyone wants to hear about it. But there's like, you know, Bitcoin's, not Bitcoin, but like crypto even is so old in terms of crypto age now, right? Like 1 year in crypto is like 10 years in the real world, sort of thing. There's so much history, so much interesting stuff, and because Bitcoin has existed during the age of the internet. Like a lot of this stuff is never forgotten. You know, it always exists. There's so much stuff in real history that would have been lost to the annals of time, and we don't. Well, I think for better or worse, we don't really have that in crypto. So it can make for some interesting stories.
We're going to be reaching deep into the archives of the internet.
Yeah, we can. And again, if you have any specific things you're interested in or you like talking about, please send a message, and we're happy to chat about it.
Yeah, otherwise you'll just be hearing about things that Nick and I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Which
you know what? Maybe you just don't say anything.
But okay, so we're using reverse psychology here. So do not share our content and do not like it. Tell people, don't tell anyone.
Oh, my son is clicking that. Like he's liking and subscribing so hard right now.
As usual, because that would be awesome to get the dispatch out there. All right, we have definitely run out of time, so thanks everyone for stopping by and listening in. We've actually had a bunch of people checking in today, which is awesome. We will definitely be back next week, same time, 3 p.m. Sydney time, wherever you're logging in from, and we'll see you then. Thanks, Nick.
Catch you later.